So I've been thinking about getting a mechanical keyboard for a while now, but there's this problem. They are super complex. I mean, every time I start to look into it, it's overwhelming. There's chassis to consider, there's keycaps, there's the buttons and the switches inside. It's overwhelming. And if you do like a quick search for a mechanical keyboard, you get like thousands of results. But the nagging idea won't go away. And I keep coming back to, should I get a mechanical keyboard or not? And there's so many people online talking about this. And it's not just sort of like fringe people who are in the niche of mechanical keyboards. I mean, these are like high profile people who you recognize as like legit YouTubers, not like no name people like me. I'm not quite sure whether getting a mechanical keyboard is going to be a great idea or not because I'm really an Apple fanboy. I mean, I've got my iPhone, my iPad, I use an iMac upstairs, my day-to-day computer is a MacBook, I have my AirPods, I typically use the great mice and keyboards that come from Apple. So why would I spend more money on a mechanical keyboard? I mean, doesn't Apple make the best products anyway? I mean, they're the ones creating all of the hardware, so their mice and keyboards should be perfect, right? Except that whole butterfly switch situation, which we're not going to talk about. But I just couldn't shake this question of, could there be a better typing experience? And what is the appeal to these mechanical keyboards that so many people are buying into? So I wanted to record the process for me of deciding if I decide to purchase, what's that purchase going to look like, and where do we go from there? And what happens when I purchase one? What do I even like about it or not? And the goal is to maybe highlight some successes, some good things that happened, and also maybe give you some warnings about the things I learned along the way so you can avoid and learn what not to do. So just a little bit about me and my context. I work remotely full-time, so I am virtual 100% of the time. I write emails. I'm using written IM communications. I am doing a lot of virtual meetings. So a keyboard and mouse are really my lifeblood. This is how I connect to the rest of the world most of the time. In my day-to-day activities, I'm doing a lot of writing. I mean, just tons and tons and tons of writing. Yes, I spend time in meetings with people, but I'm also doing a lot of written communication through my keyboard, through the writing that I do. So a keyboard is actually very important to my professional workflow. In my personal life, I also use a keyboard a lot. I do a lot of writing. There's a lot of study work that I do. I write scripts for these YouTube videos. I will often create articles and write frameworks for people to help them think through design. So the better the keyboard experience that I have, the more enjoyable the process of writing and authoring things is going to be. So I want to rewind back to the moment where I actually decided, yeah, it's time to go. It's time to buy a keyboard. So as I'm watching some of my favorite YouTubers, I continue to come across these YouTube clips showing mechanical keyboards and touting how great they are. And some people even saying they improve their typing speed. So once again, I dove in and decided to start looking. And it was actually this moment when I decided, yeah, I'm not getting a mechanical keyboard, but I wonder what other keyboard alternatives there are. And as I came across a website, I saw it. I saw that moment, that thing that actually locked me into, yes, it's time to go. It's time to buy a mechanical keyboard. And the main thing that made me realize this was achievable was the price. I saw for the first time a mechanical keyboard that was affordable and was actually a true mechanical keyboard. And this was the Logitech Pops keyboard. Now, I know anybody who is a mechanical keyboard enthusiast is going to say, John, seriously, the Pops keyboard? I mean, it has pop in the name, but hear me out. Just hear me out. What I saw was actually a keyboard that was affordable and an entry level. I didn't realize that something could be as affordable as that. That's the moment I realized it doesn't have to be complicated and it can be affordable. So let's do this. Let's get a mechanical keyboard. I think it's time to get a mechanical keyboard. Whoa! And just like that, problem solved. Wait, that's not at all how it went. Nothing happens that magically. And really, it took more intentionality and planning to get there. So let's walk through what it looked like for me to actually make the decision on what I wanted and which one I was going to buy. Now, if you do a search for mechanical keyboards, you're going to get 1,000, probably tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of results because there's a ton of manufacturers out there creating them. There's a bunch of models, and then on top of that, they're designed to be customizable, so the options can really be endless. You can make whatever you want. So to narrow down all the options, I created a short list of must-haves, things that I wanted in my keyboard, because otherwise I was going to flounder and not know exactly what I wanted to get. The first and foremost was price. I was not going to spend more than $100 on any mechanical keyboard. I don't even know if I'm going to like this thing. I haven't really seen many of them, and honestly, I had to figure out what I was going to like. So why would I overinvest and spend way too much money on one? So price was the number one criteria. And really, that's why the pop keys were so significant, because I had never considered that there might be affordable options out there. Second, it had to be Mac first. And what I mean by that is it needed to actually have the keys that a Mac uses on a day-to-day basis. The command key, the option key, and the control key. These come standard on Mac hardware, and that's something I needed to have. These keys are a core part of my workflow, the shortcuts, the things that I'm used to using on a Mac, and I was not about to have a Windows-based keyboard on my Mac. So those keys were essential. The third thing was Bluetooth or a wireless connection. Wired connections are good. I knew that I was going to need to charge it, but at the end of the day, I wanted to be able to connect to more than one device. And specifically, I wanted to have 3 different Bluetooth connections. This is something I had on an old Logitech K380. It really made the keyboard far more of a Swiss Army knife in my utility of my mouse and keyboard and everything else. Plus, it pairs well with my Logitech MX Master, which also has the 3 slots, and I love using that. So that's it. That's the 3 criteria. I wanted it under $100, and really I was trying to shoot for 75 or less because I don't want to break the bank. Have the command, option, and control keys in the right orientation on the keyboard, and it had to be Bluetooth compatible with 3 different connections that I can program into it. Whenever I was searching, it was easy because I could just set that criteria on the search and all the results would then map to that. Now, in all of my searching, one of the things I had to understand was this whole idea of the switches. The switches are actually one of the most critical components in a mechanical keyboard because that's what gives you the feel as you type. When your fingers hit the keycap, it actually presses down the switch, and that's what gives you the tactile sensation of what it actually feels like when you're typing. And there was one video that really made it all come together for me. It explained exactly what the switches were, the different style of switches, and then the different sensations that different switches can have. And all of them have a profile to them, which gives you more friction up front or down towards the low, or gives it a clicky sensation, or maybe makes it more smooth. In the research, in what I found, I landed on a brown switch. It seemed like one of the most common ones that a lot of people really tend to love and like. So that's the one I decided to look for in the keyboard that I was going for. Now, the brown switch wasn't a requirement, but it was definitely sort of a best case scenario if I could find it. Or if I found a keyboard that had switches in it that I wasn't preferring, I could always swap them out later for a brown switch or something else that I might enjoy. And that's really, again, part of the beauty of mechanical keyboards is you're not buying a keyboard, you're buying a keyboard platform that you can modify later to suit your tastes, little by little, or overhaul all at once, as some people do. So in this case, I decided to look for a brown switch keyboard, if at all possible. So I looked at a variety of options, but really I was still feeling kind of uncomfortable because things were still a little too pricey for me. I was falling really on the high end of that $75 range and sometimes tipping over. I didn't like that, and that's not really what I wanted to spend. I looked at options like the Logitech Mechanical MX Mini. I looked at the Logitech Pop, which again, we already talked about, probably wasn't exactly what I wanted, but got me thinking about it. And then I started looking at brands like Keychron and Newfie. And I know there's hundreds of other brands out there, but these were the ones that started to stick out to me. And then there was this moment when it all clicked and it all came together, and I said, that's the one I want. I really fell in love with the Keychron brand. Just their aesthetic, the way they put things together, the way the keys sounded when I heard people typing, all of it sort of seemed to fit the vibe that I was going for my keyboard. Newfie was sort of runner-up second, but most of the ones I found from them were sort of beyond my price range and more than I wanted to spend. So I thought maybe I would consider those later. As I was doing my research, I really enjoyed and liked the K2 layout. It seemed to be the most compact. It fit sort of a similar imprint to the Apple keyboard that I was used to using. So I started looking, and I happened across a deal, and I thought it was too good to be true. And I even showed one of my friends saying, is this legit? Like, is this a real Keychron, or is this some sort of like knockoff from another country? But as I dug in, I found it. So that was it. That was the one. It fit all of my criteria. It had the 3 Bluetooth connections that I required. It had the Mac first keys already installed on it, which is a bonus. I don't have to even switch keycaps. And the best part was it was way under my budget. It was coming in at less than $50 on Amazon. Why wouldn't I do this? So I decided to take the plunge and order it. And here it is. It has arrived. I am super excited. This is my Keychron K2 keyboard. I've been very excited about this. I'm so glad it's finally here. And I think it's time for us to unbox this and to see if it's going to live up to the hype. All right, so here we are, the Keychron K2 version 2, if that's important to you, and the tactile mechanical keyboard for peak productivity. And that's really what we're hoping for, a real good tactile experience that will hopefully inspire me to type faster and do better. So let's open this box up and see what it has. All right, so we are greeted with a good little welcome instruction overview card. This is good. Again, sort of repeating what's on the front. If you're a Windows user, which I am not, so I'm just going to completely ignore that. We do not need to swap out the keys because it comes with the Mac keys pre-installed. I'm thankful for that because that was one of my criterias. Let's see here. We got the Bluetooth connection instructions, cable connection instructions, which I will probably actually make pretty good use of that here at my desktop setup. You know, one of the things I'm looking to do is maybe save some battery, things like that. But the Bluetooth is going to be really important, especially since there are the 3 different connections that you have capable here. Some instructions about switching between multimedia, those keys if we wanted to do that, auto sleep settings, a few other things if we wanted to do that, a factory reset, which I don't think I'm going to need. You know, I guess in case I ever need to sell it or anything like that, I can always do that. It'll be good. All right, well, let's move on. Nice little foam protector for shipping, and oh, there it is. Oh, it's peeking through. I'm very excited. I can see even the colors of the keys. No more delay, no more fussing. Let's get out of there. Oh, nice little Bluetooth mechanical keyboard instruction set. We'll take a look at that in just a little bit. So here we are, unwrapping this. Oh, it looks beautiful. I love the colors. Just immediately presented with the nice white keys. You got your darker keys here for accents. You've got the little dimples sort of on the keys to make sure you know, just tactily, you can feel around, not having to look all the time. As we mentioned before, the Mac keys are already pre-installed. That's awesome. And one of the things I really wanted to do was preserve this top row of function keys, display brightness, some of the Mac, you know, command center keys, and your audio controls for music, and then also your audio levels, which is really important. And here they are. They're all laid out here, obviously with different graphics, but, you know, that's good. I love it. Sort of a retro feel. Oh, I can already tell this is going to be a really good typing experience. I'm super excited. So the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Oh, that is good. You know what I think we need? I think we need a typing test, and we'll try out the 3 different keyboards that I'm used to using, and we'll go from there. All right, just for comparison, here is the Apple Mac keyboard that really ships. This is the stock Mac keyboard that we're all used to using. We'll try this one out first. All right, so that's the Mac keyboard. Let's swap out one other keyboard that I like to use every once in a while, the Logitech K380. This is a keyboard that I have used from time to time. It's got the 3 wireless connections as well for Bluetooth, and a lot of the same keys that I enjoy, but this is less tactical. So let's try this one. Again, it's not a bad typing experience, but again, it's not mechanical. So let's try it now compared to the K380. All right, so here we are with a nice close-up shot of the K380. You got a microphone right here, and let's see what this sounds like. Oh, that enter key is satisfying to hit. So's that space bar. I'm really excited to get some more typing experience on this. All right, well, let's check out what's in the rest of the box. As we bring it back around, you can see there is a manual here just in case you need some specific instructions. You can check that out. All right, so it looks like I got a cable in here, a nice braided cable, which is good quality. I really like the different connections that we have here. This is a nice 90-degree angle, which would be nice. That way it doesn't hang off the side of the keyboard when it gets in there. This will be, you know, just your standard USB-A. Glad for that. Got some extra keys here that we probably won't need. I think these are the Windows alternates. Yep, there's your Windows function key that we probably won't need because I'm not a Windows user. And then we also have what looks to be a keycap puller. I think that's what these are. And then this kind of just goes right around that the key and then grabs it and pops it right off. I've seen some other people use these before. I don't know if I'm going to need this or not, but I'll keep it around just in case I need to make a repair or anything like that. And that appears to be it. You know, background, you know, back of the box just shows a little more details just for sales purposes, things like that. but that's nice. So that's what comes in the box. So I'm really excited to get this. This thing is substantial. It is heavy. There's a metal frame around this. It feels good to touch. It feels good to hold. It's substantial. It's not lightweight like other keyboards I'm used to using. So I think that's part of the charm of this is the heavy weight, and when it makes the sounds, it's a dense piece of hardware, and I'm excited about that. Along the edges here, you can see that we have sort of a close-up shot here. This is where you're going to connect your USB if you're going to be doing that. This is where you switch from your different types, so either Mac OS or Android or Windows device if you're going to use a Windows device, and then you can have your Bluetooth cabled and an off connection in the middle. So overall, very excited. A nice looking keyboard. There are some adjustments here. I'll have to see which ones feel right, whether or not I want to do half or full height. Full height already feels just, feeling that is going to be too much. But I'm very excited. So I'm going to spend a few weeks with this, and then we'll come back around. Everybody has sort of this hype moment, this honeymoon moment. And right now I love this keyboard, but I haven't actually tried it out yet. I haven't lived with it, and so I'm going to live with it for a few weeks, and then we'll come back around, and I'll give you more of an honest, longer-term review. All right, so it's been 2 or 3 weeks living with my new Keychron K2 version 2 tactile keyboard. It's a mechanical keyboard. It's different than sort of the Apple Magic keyboard that I've been used to, or the Apple Magic keyboard that comes with the iPad if you want to buy that one. But it has been a very pleasant experience. And I have to say, I really, really enjoy this thing. Just the sensation, just in using it. But there has been sort of some ups and some downs. And I kind of want to walk you through what I've experienced over the past 2 or 3 weeks that I've sort of settled into using this. The honeymoon phase is sort of worn off a little bit. Am I going to keep it? Am I going to run with it? Am I going to maybe use it sometimes? All those questions I'm going to sort of answer next. And then sort of a surprise moment along the way. All right, so I just want to start with the sound and the feel. As you heard, as I was working with this, typing this little note, the sound and the feel of typing on this kind of keyboard is just fantastic. It's not like anything else. Mechanical keyboards have their own characteristics. The feel every time you press a key, it just has its own sort of feel to it. It has response. You can feel the scratchiness of that mechanical switch going down and coming back up. As you hit the bottom of the key, that feel is awesome. And it has not just a feel, but also the sound. So as you're typing on it, you're getting the sound feedback in your ears and in through your fingers at the same time. And it's not something that most keyboards have on the market unless you go specifically with a mechanical keyboard style of this. So as I have been writing, as I've been enjoying this, the feedback from the fingers, the feedback from the ears has just been a really great experience. So yeah, this is so much louder than the typical keyboard that I'm used to using. But I think that's actually part of the charm. That's what makes it more of an enjoyable experience, is that feedback. It fills the room with the sound of typing, and it makes you feel like I'm being very productive right now. So one other thing that's maybe a little bit of a downside or an annoyance, or maybe a nuisance if you want to call it that, is the centering of the keyboard. One of the things that frustrates me with almost every keyboard I've ever used is that my fingers, I want them to land right in the center of the frame of the keyboard. To be fair, I have not found a keyboard to do that anywhere. Every time I lay my fingers down, my home row where the F and the J, where my fingers land, these little tactical spots where you can base your home row, base your fingers, is always offset to the left. And that's okay. Most keyboards do that, but it's just a frustrating thing. I wish somebody could nail a keyboard design where that wasn't the case, so I could feel like my body is perfectly aligned rather than an offset situation. That's okay. It's not a big nuisance. But this other thing is actually more of a nuisance, and that is wrist height. Most of the other keyboards I've used, like the Apple Magic keyboard, or I often use the keyboard, the Magic keyboard that you can get for your iPad that has sort of the mouse and trackpad built in. I am used to very, very low profile keyboards that when my wrist lays down, it actually lays right on the table, and I can reach the keys just fine without sort of contorting my wrists in bad directions. With this keyboard though, when I have my fingers on the keys, I cannot lay my hands down or else my wrists go in a very sharp angle, and that's just going to hurt over time. I'm going to get repetitive motion injury, and that's not what I want. So at this point, I'm having to use sort of very unpleasant piece of scrap poplar that I found in my garage in my shop. So I've actually just been using this, and it has become my prop for my fingers to raise my wrists up to the right height. And then unfortunately, because my elbows sit at a different height than I used to, I've had to adjust my chair. And so really it's just kind of accommodating, getting used to what do I need to change about my posture, my body height, the way the keyboard's aligned to my body, the way the keyboard's aligned to my wrist and my elbows and my shoulders. All that's really important for long-term health of your arms as you're typing. And so for me, that's one of the things that I've had to just accommodate for. And this piece of crappy wood will not do over the long haul. And that's okay. This piece is a good temporary solution. It is ugly as all get out, but that's okay. I don't mind working in my shop to kind of create something that's a little more bespoke and will fit with the keyboard. But hey, that's part of the charm of, you know, having a mechanical keyboard, is sort of outfitting what you think you're going to need and making it your own along the way. So then this crazy moment happened where I'm looking at my keyboard and I'm loving it. I love the white of the keys, and I've sort of grown to become okay with sort of this off-white, sort of grayish look of the keys. I started to wonder, what if I could inject more color into my keyboard? As I was doing my original research, I mentioned Newfie keyboards, and I really like the yellow and sort of that teal aesthetic that they bring to their keyboards. And I was wondering if I could find something to maybe fit my yellow and blue brand a little bit more. And then I started thinking about custom keycaps, and maybe I could find a key set. And lo and behold, on Keychron's website, they had the absolute perfect keycap set. It was blue and it was yellow, and I thought to myself, I have to have it. I got to put it on my keyboard. I got to make this thing my own. And I know, it's crazy. Why would I spend even more money on a mechanical keyboard that I've already set a budget for? I've been great with staying under that. But I couldn't shake this idea of making this thing more my own, making it mine, so that when you see me using it, when somebody walks in my office or I'm talking to somebody, this keyboard is John Diello's bespoke keyboard. No one else has this one. And that's when I realized I wanted to order a set of keycaps. And I know it doesn't make sense, but I thought I wanted to try it because that's part of the charm, that's part of the experience. And I went ahead and actually ordered that set. All right, so after a little bit of a wait, our keycap set is actually here. I am super excited. We're gonna crack this open and start getting them installed. All right, so we're gonna slice this open and get started and see what we find here. My trusty Kershaw knife. This has been faithful with me for a very long time. I love this knife. It's a great one. All right, so here we go. Gonna open it up and see what we get. And for those of you who've been waiting, this is the moment where you actually get to see it. Oh man, these look so great. I love the colors. Let's move this box off our desk here. Pop these off here. Oh, this is perfect. Oh, I'm so excited. Check these out. These are fantastic. I love the colors. We've got some dark blue for some of the function keys, the more utilized keys that do specific functions. For the regular keys, like the letters and things like that, we have sort of a lighter blue. So the next step for me is to plan out which of these keys are actually going to make it onto the keyboard, because I don't think I'm going to use all of the keys. I'm planning to keep some of the white keys, maybe some of the darker tan keys. We'll see. But the goal is really to create more of a vibe that has that white, that blue, that yellow now that I have access to. And we'll kind of go from there. And so I'm just going to start placing these around to see what I actually want to keep here. So I definitely want this bright yellow key. I think that's going to look awesome. Yellow space bar, absolutely going to put that on there. Get our command and control and option keys all out here. I think shift is going to go on there too. Caps lock tab. Yep, I want to just flank the whole keyboard with blue. I think it's going to be really neat to have this sort of yellow and blue kind of going up around this way. to that red key. I'm not sure which red key I'm going to keep. This one's got a little bit brighter red than the other one, so I might keep that. We'll have to see. Tilde key. I have all that. Move all these down here a little bit so we can see what this looks like here. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty good. Across that top row as well, I want to put the light and dark blue keys for the function keys. Backspace, yep, definitely need that. I think I'm going to go with the blue keys just because I have them. I think that'll be pretty nice. So if I'm putting it on a different spot on the keyboard, I want to do a macro or something like that, I have the ability to do that. So that's pretty cool. All right, so I think this is it. I think this is actually going to wind up being the keyboard layout. So I think we can actually get started popping some of these keys off and replacing them. So kind of do a time lapse of that and we'll get started there. So in this process, there's just something so satisfying about clicking these new keys into place. So I'm a little over halfway done here now, and I just got to say, this tool is super handy. I love this tool. And then we also have what looks to be a keycap puller. I don't know if I'm going to need this or not, but I'll keep it around just in case I need to make a repair or anything like that. As I'm using the keys, it's really easy to just get a good grip on them and pull them out. As I'm working on the arrow keys here, it's great. And as we approach the last few keys, it's just so exciting to get near to the end. The final key, everybody, the very final key. We are going to enter a new world with these keys installed, so I'm very excited about that. All right, let's pop that final key off, and in goes the enter key, and it is the very last key, and we are in. All right, I cannot tell you how pleased I am with the way this has turned out. The yellow keys, this is exactly like that primary triad that I wanted to have on my keyboard. A real focus on these white keys, which is where I'm going to do the majority of my typing, and then accented by these blue, various shades of blue, the yellow and the red. That primary triad is just fantastic. It's such a strong looking keyboard. Wow. I mean, just take a look at that. That is just such a fantastic keyboard. I'm so thrilled, and I'm very glad I spent the extra few dollars to get the custom keys. I can't wait to use these keys every day moving forward. All right, so this has been my journey with the mechanical keyboard. And I'm pretty surprised. I did not expect to end up with custom keycap. I didn't expect to end up with something super bespoke that was sort of mine. And then that's kind of when it hit me. This is probably one of the biggest appeals to mechanical keyboards, is expressing your individuality, expressing who you are and being able to get something that no one else has. That's the charm of a mechanical keyboard. The beauty of it is that no one else has this keyboard. No one else has this configuration. This here is mine. This is an expression of John Diallo in a keyboard. The clickety-clack of the brown keys and the plastic on the chassis, the colors that I've chosen, the configuration, the experience of building it is all sort of an outflow. It's an expression of me. So we started with something very basic like this, which has its own inherent goodness. This is a good keyboard, but it's a keyboard that every other Mac user has. And if you're sort of a think a different kind of Mac user, maybe something like this might fit you better. And that's pretty cool. So you might be asking the question, should I get a mechanical keyboard? And my answer is going to be yes, except maybe be sure about why you want to get one. If you're going to get a mechanical keyboard because you think somehow that piece of hardware is going to make you super efficient, be careful. I don't think that's actually going to happen. It's possible, and there might be a little bit of a placebo effect where you want to be more productive, so you get a mechanical keyboard, therefore you act more productive. But inherently, I'm having to relearn how to type a little bit. My muscle memory for the keys has to change because the key heights are different. They're not what I'm used to. The keyboard's not as flat. The place where my wrist rests has changed. My body posture's had to adapt. So there's been actually some inefficiency along the way that I'm still working through. So efficiency and productivity isn't what you're going to get. Now, if you're getting one for nostalgia and you like this kind of experience because that's what you grew up with, there's no really capturing it. You have to kind of feel it and type with it and use it in a modern world. That's why I decided to put together a budget, figure out what my criteria was, and then spend up to a certain point because I wanted to try it out, but I also didn't want to break the bank. Nostalgia has been definitely part of this experience. Taking me back to computer class and typing class, that clickety-clack, there's just, it's a time warp. It's hard to describe, but it's such a fantastic experience. Now, if you want to get a mechanical keyboard because you want to express yourself and be different, think different, kind of act different, this is probably something you want to think about. My recommendation is to sit down and actually figure out what you want. Where do you want to start? What do you want it to become in the end? You might not know exactly what that is, but if you have an idea, at least you can start building towards something that you can build with in the future. You can get a platform to expand on. Set a budget, make sure you don't go over that budget, and stick to that budget until you really got comfortable with the keyboard and had a chance to live with it. I spent about 2 or 3 weeks with my keyboard before I ordered the new keycaps. I was really starting to settle into this being a part of my core workflow and a part of what I use every day. So I hope it's been helpful for me to show you my journey. I know a lot of people talk about mechanical keyboards and how to get started, but from the beginning, I wanted to make sure that I captured sort of the full spectrum. I even started recording this video months ago, not even knowing if it was going to become a video to share with you. And I'm glad I did, because I learned a lot through this experience and really discovered what people love about mechanical keyboards and really what I love about mechanical keyboards and why I want to continue using them. So moving forward, I plan to use this almost every day in my workflow. In the beginning, I was about 50-50 time split. I had the Apple keyboard out half the time, and then I'd bring the Keychron out every once in a while to start using it and getting used to it. But now it's more of 100%. I haven't gotten my Apple keyboard out in a while, and I'm okay with that. I think it's actually a really good typing experience on the Keychron. It's satisfying, and boy, there's nothing better than just smacking that enter key after a very satisfying set of typing. All right, I can't take this thing anymore. I'll be right back. Whew. Okay, man. This will be a much better experience. All right, thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. I am doing an experiment here. I've never made a video this long and really off topic of design. So if you could, let me know you're here by clicking the like button, and then drop me a comment and let me know what you really liked about this video. And if you want me to explore more topics beyond that, give me some ideas. I'd be happy to do it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.